I want to get into the details of what we heard the governor say last night about the legal protection that medical practitioners will have in Massachusetts for their licenses, for medical malpractice insurance we just heard about, because if the FDA approval of this drug is in effect removed, medical practitioners will still have it on hand, but they'd be very worried about using it without FDA approval. What will you be able to say to those medical practitioners in Massachusetts?
First of all, thank you for having me on. And there's a lot that we can do to protect our providers and our patients. And immediately when taking office, set up a hotline in Massachusetts, a free confidential hotline for providers and patients to call to have any questions or concerns answered. I want folks in the face of what's happening in Texas not to lose hope. As our governor said, we have stockpiled, of course, this medication that is critical to many in Massachusetts. And we have one of the strongest shield laws in the country because it protects providers regardless of the patient's location. And the executive order that the governor signed and that we all were there to support builds upon that shield law. And so there are a lot of protections here that exist in Massachusetts. We also, of course, want to work in partnership with our attorneys general across the country to support those who are in fear. And I'm proud of Massachusetts and the work we're doing to make sure that people have access to this critical medication and that there are many other steps that folks have to take in order to take this off the market. So I want folks not to be in fear, but to frankly stress to them that nothing has changed. This is still available. This medication, which has been on the market for 23 years, is still safe and still effective.
So will it remain available? Are you confident it will remain available, freely available in Massachusetts, as available as it is now, if this ruling stays in effect?
I am confident. You know, right now, the Department of Justice, of course, has filed an appeal. I am, in my office, along with many other states, have filed an amicus brief to support that appeal. There are several, there are other cases as well, of course, that will possibly bring this to the Supreme Court. And so there are a lot of steps and a lot of things that have to happen before folks get to a place where this is off the market completely. And I want folks to stay in a place of hope and not fear. And so in Massachusetts yesterday, we demonstrated in collective sort of a power with our federal delegation, our local and county and state delegation as well, that not only do we have the medication available here, but that nothing has changed. It is still available. It is still legal to use, to prescribe, that providers should not have fear, that patients should not have fear. And as Attorney General here in Massachusetts, I will do everything in my power, using the full authority of the office, to protect a woman's right, not only to choose, but a woman's right to the safe and effective medicated abortion in the face of these anti-science, anti-democratic right-wing attacks.
So, Attorney General Campbell, this country has now reverted to a condition that we haven't seen since before you were born, to the condition of the era of segregation in this country, where your rights depended on which state you lived in, and Massachusetts was always a good state to live in these situations, as it is now. But did you anticipate that it was ever going to come to this, that rights would be dependent on which state you lived in?
Well, obviously, been following the Supreme Court and these decisions that go in the face, frankly, of significant precedent and have been politicized, sadly. And so as the Supreme Court is going backwards, Massachusetts has stepped up, as it always has, to protect our residents, ensure access to basic civil protections. And I've been stressing to folks, regardless of how they feel about this right to an abortion, they should care about this Dobbs case, which eliminated this constitutional protection in the face of significant precedent. That means every civil right that we are discussing or that we care about is under threat. And so if that is the case, that means not only do we have to mobilize state by state, but collectively, but Massachusetts has to continue to take the lead. And I'm really proud to be the AG and Attorney General, of course, of Massachusetts, because that's exactly what we'll continue to do, working with a whole host of stakeholders here to protect, of course, access to reproductive health care, but to protect every other civil right that you mentioned. And I've been stressing everyone should care about this. This is not just a woman's issue. This is a human rights issue. This is a civil rights issue. And AGs across the country are going to have to step up and lead the way to protect our residents. And really proud of what we're doing here in Massachusetts, not only for Massachusetts residents, but for anyone who wants to come here for these critical services.
Before we go, let's just underline that point. For people outside of Massachusetts, women and girls outside of Massachusetts who will need this medication possibly a month from now, what's your message to them?
Come to Massachusetts. Come to those states that are at the forefront, of course, legally and have the rights here to protect folks. And we know that Massachusetts, given our infrastructure, our ecosystem, our hospital system, and our providers and the training that we have provided to folks all across the country to provide this critical reproductive care and, of course, access to abortion, that we're going to have to step up. And Massachusetts is ready to do that to protect our residents and anyone else.